The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. A lot is happening across the continent of Africa. Africans are rising to fight for their resources, their oil, their diamonds, their uraniums, their gold, their economic sovereignty, their political sovereignty, everything spiritually and everything we need to be sovereign. So for that matter, following the steps of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, taking control over their resources, kicking out the French troops and making sure that they cause bankruptcy in France, the president of Botswana, Duma Boko, also decided to follow the steps of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso. So the president of Botswana, Duma Boko, said he needs to reclaim the diamonds of Botswana because it seems like these diamonds are in the custody of some group of people and they are not using that to benefit the people in Botswana. But the diamonds belongs to the people in Botswana. So for that matter, they need to reclaim their diamonds from the BS company. When IMF had this, they just couldn't hide what they have been doing to the African, making sure the African never controls the narrative. According to IMF, if Duma Boko should go ahead with the plans of using the state's resources to reclaim the diamonds company in Botswana, then they will stop funding or supporting Botswana. And I think this is also a good move because always we are preaching that the African must move away from the World Bank, from IMF, because we have realized that these are the organizations that are not helping the African to move forward. How does this make sense? That we have our own resources and other people sit outside of the continent and claim ownership of the resources that we have here.
IMF has warned Botswana against owning its own diamond mines because apparently a country owning its own resources is bad for its economy. Yes, really. Earlier this December, the US-controlled International Monetary Fund, following in a long tradition of strong arming African countries into ever-increasing poverty, released a report which, among many boring things, warned the Botswana government against acquiring a majority stake in the country's diamond industry, which at present is mostly controlled by British South African Mining Corporation, the BS. Founded in 1888 by ruthless British imperial criminal Cecil Rhodes, the De Beers group of mining companies has been plundering southern Africa ever since, leaving a trail of death and misery in its wake. The IMF, in its infinite wisdom, is discouraging Botswana from potentially repurposing this colonial artifact of a company for the benefit of Botswanans, because it fears that this may cripple the country's economy and likely make it less eligible for future IMF loans. Translation: we will not give you any more money if you decide to control your own resources. But as countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, who have all begun nationalizing their resources, continue to show us every day, Africa has never needed the West's blood money or its suggestions. The wealth has always been right here. Here's to hoping Botswana makes the right decision. For the Spearhead, I am Baraha.
Let's talk about who currently controls Botswana's diamonds. De Beers, founded in 1888 by Cecil Rhodes, has been sucking southern Africa dry for over 130 years. This is not hyperbole. This is documented history. Cecil Rhodes was not just a businessman. He was an architect of apartheid ideology, a man who openly advocated for British supremacy over Africa, who believed Africans existed to serve white interests. He built his fortune on stolen land, forced labour, and a mining empire designed explicitly to extract African wealth for European benefit. De Beers is his legacy, a colonial artifact that somehow survived decolonization and continues operating as if it still has the God-given right to Africa's resources. For over a century, De Beers has been pulling diamonds out of African soil, processing them, marketing them globally and pocketing the profits while African communities surrounding these mines remain impoverished. The company has left a trail of environmental destruction, labour exploitation and economic inequality across southern Africa. This is what the IMF wants Botswana to preserve. This is what they're threatening Botswana to protect.
Always we tell you that these organizations are the reasons to which Africa isn't moving forward. because IMF should understand that the resources in Africa belongs to Africans. And for that matter, we should have full control over the resources. According to reports, Botswana only owns 15% of the diamonds in Botswana. The rest is taken out. So people come into Botswana, into Africa, and make money out of Africa. Yet we, the Africans, keep suffering because of the systematic things that they've kept in place. Always we tell you that the systems of these people are never meant to help the African. These are the ways in which they are keeping us poor, by making sure that we do not own the narrative. So Africans, it is time for us to continue to fight. Like the President Duma Boko said, we will die trying. We must fight to make sure that we get our sovereignty. And one time Duma Boko said that this fight is not going to be easy, and that the reason to which Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso are free and they are able to do what they are doing is because they have moved out of the system. That as long as you continue to live in the system will always cripple you, because you have to do this, do that, and at the end of the day you end up doing nothing and you will leave. But he will make sure he breaks away from the system, and that is what Duma Boko is doing right now. Duma Boko said he wants to free the people in Botswana. So for that matter, he has also taken the steps of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso to free his people. These people will never allow us to move forward, because Yellow Popo is using our resources to benefit themselves. And they know that if Africa should reclaim its resources, they are going to finish. And that is why always they are making sure that they continue to get us puppet leaders that will do nothing but rather protect the system called democracy. These are the only ways that these people are using to keep the African under control. Always threatening the African, always threatening our leaders that if they do this, that will support or change the narrative in Africa, they will face this. But it is best for us to continue to face these things than to continue to be puppets and to be slaves in this modern Africa. If the leaders who came before Duma Boko were bold enough to take these steps, by now Botswana would have moved ahead. And that is why always we say as Africans, if we continue to be fighting the battle individually, we can never get anywhere. We all need to come together united to fight for that better Africa we are looking for. And we need to reclaim our sovereignty, our spirituality, our everything from these people. How long must we continue to allow IMF to benefit from what is happening in Africa, simply because of the peanuts that they give to us, when we know actually that this organization is the reason to which Africa is moving forward? Because anytime you go to IMF for any support, we see the conditions that these people give us, which at the end of the day is rather making the people suffer more. Like we saw the recent thing that they did in Kenya, when the Gen Zs in Kenya rose to fight against IMF policy in Kenya. So these people are never there to help us. If the African was united, I think by now people wouldn't be using this kind of things as a threat to make sure that we don't do the right thing. So those of us who believe so much in these institutions and believe that they are the reasons to which we are running, because they always claim they come in to support, liberate our economies, we need to wake up, because now these people are no longer hiding what they are doing to us. And this is information age, and we need to understand that we need to feed ourselves with the right things that are happening around the continent. And we must all come together united to fight for the freedom that we deserve. So you and I have a responsibility to fight and protect and defend the continent. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Africa, Southern Africa and in Botswana.